Moment. Well, we're looking at another Combat Patrol game by Buck, and I'm just going to let him take it away. Well, what do we have on the table, Buck?
So this game is based on the Philippines in 1942, so the Americans are sort of on the ropes. It's actually a period I've been reading a lot about lately. There's surprisingly a large number of books on the topic. But there's no scenario book, so this is actually starting to prep for writing a scenario book for the Philippines. So what we've got is we've got a Japanese platoon here, 4 squads, supported by some Type 95 tanks.
Now, I have to get a close-up. These tanks are awesome, but everyone makes fun of Japanese tanks. Could you do like a quick talk on how ineffective or effective were these?
Well, in the South Pacific, right, at the beginning of the war, the Americans really only had Stuart tanks. So these tanks are perfectly fine for doing what they wanted to do, which is kill a lot of Chinese civilians, kill a lot of Filipinos, right? So they were mobile machine gun nests and things, but they did have guns on them, so they could use them to take out bunkers and things. So, particularly when not opposed by big tanks, right? They did fine. Later in the war, when we got done using the Grant and the Lee tanks in the desert, many of those were shipped to China, Burma, India, where they were more than a match for the Japanese tanks. But early in the war, these are fine, right? So, and in this case, the Americans don't have a lot in terms of anti-tank capability, so they do pretty well. So this is the fourth or fifth time I've run this scenario. So the Japanese are trying to push across over the bridge and capture that town. The idea is this is the advance for a battalion that's coming on, and then for the Americans, there's not a lot of figures available for
Will they be wearing what, World War I uniforms? Style.
Well, no, they're different enough, right? That's the problem.
So
right?
you can't use a World War I.
Not
figure.
if you want to be really accurate. So many of these are from pulp figures from Canada, but the other thing is, Don and I and a couple other folks commissioned Steve Barber miniatures to create a few more poses. So we have enough now to make a pretty good American platoon for early war.
Now, are these resin or metal?
They're all metal.
They're all metal.
The
Okay.
tanks are 3D printed. The little Japanese staff car is a Bandai kit, I think. But
So
anyway,
what do they have to take out those Japanese tanks when they come across?
Well, not a lot. So the machine guns are, if you fire enough machine gun rounds at those tanks, you might be able to disable them. But they have one anti-tank gun that they'll have to be very clever about where they place it.
Now, will that be hidden?
Yeah. So I don't like to do a lot of hidden movement in conventions because it just gets gunky. But the gun, I let them hide the crew-served weapons, the 2 machine guns and the gun. They'll put them on the map. All the infantry and stuff will just lay out there. So.
All right. Well, your Combat Patrol system is fantastic, and if anyone is interested, they can contact the Hawks. And Buck has a website for Combat Patrol.
And they're available. I do have a website, but they're also available on Military Matters.
On Military Matters. So.
And from Sally Forth if you're over in Europe. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Buck, for taking time out to talk to my video people.
Thanks.